Hey y'all, welcome to this week's episode of Ducking Realitea. In the pond with me today is my girl Carissa.
Hi guys.
Hi Carissa, welcome. We met through your partner Lee, who's a good friend of mine,
Yes.
and then you have become a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And you've been going through like every transition you can go through.
100%. Literally every single one.
Yeah, and on top of all of that, is it okay to share?
Oh, yeah.
We're expecting.
Yes.
Do you like the way I said we?
We are all expecting this is everybody's baby.
It is, because you and Lee are kind of the youngest in our friend group. And there's, 8 of us?
Yeah, I think 8.
2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, 8 or 9. And it's almost you are the youngest ones of our group.
Yeah.
Everyone else is married, their kids are in high school or college, or they don't have kids, and they're just professionals. And and then you and Lee and I kind of found our way into this big group of friends, and you and Lee just got engaged, and then you decided to have a baby.
So many things.
You just moved here from Texas.
So many things.
And on top of all, and I'm excited to talk to you because you also just graduated.
Yes.
And you are finishing up your hours to be a licensed therapist.
Yes. Well, technically already a licensed therapist, but
you're
yes, working on the full licensure now because it starts as an associate. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then moves on.
How long does it usually take?
Okay, so it's 2 years of master's, your master's program, and then which also includes a year-long internship.
Okay.
So you do practicum and then 2 internship portions of class, but it takes about a year. And then from there, you get licensed as an associate.
Okay.
So a licensed professional counselor associate. And you're under supervision, but you're able to work and actually get paid at that point.
Okay.
Technically, you are a counselor, you're just still an associate. It's dumb. But you have to get 3,000 hours. Okay. So it's 1,500 direct, with clients, everything else, 1,500 indirect. Taking courses, meeting with your supervisor, doing paperwork, all of that stuff.
Billing.
Yes, exactly. And so, but they give you a minimum requirement of being an associate for a year and a half before you're able to apply for full licensure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it takes 3.5 years bare minimum.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a process.
It is. It really is. Which is crazy because they're also trying to add that into the bill of us not being a professional degree right now.
Oh, you guys, therapists are part of that. How is that? I don't even understand.
I don't fully understand it either. It's just something now that just pisses me off when I think about it.
Yeah, it's they're just trying to dismantle everything and make everything impossible. Mm-hmm. Especially for anything that's a female-dominated role.
I was just about to say it's so many female-dominated roles that it's disheartening of what they're trying to do with that.
Yeah, it makes me think of Handmaid's Tale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And, I watched I think the first episode of that, and I was like, I can't do it. No, I'm out. I'm it makes me too worried.
Same here. And I'm it just feels, especially right now, I'm it feels too real of where things can go. And I don't need that in my life at the moment. No.
Yeah, I don't either. But so how have you been finding all of the million? I mean, you're basically almost every life thing.
Yes.
What's the biggest life things are death, moving, baby, jobs.
Yeah.
And you have 3 out of 4 of them.
Yes.
So you like to really go after it, huh?
It's so funny because Lee and I literally talk about all the time how I just don't like to make things easy for myself. Ooh. I like to make sure I throw everything into the fire all at once. And I've always been like that. So we're doing really well.
Because you moved here. How long have you been here now?
I moved here in March and it's December. So 9 months?
Yeah.
9 months. 9 months. Something like that. Yeah. And coincidentally, as soon as I moved here, I was here for 2 weeks. Then Lee and I went on a month-long Australian vacation. So it was
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was let's not even get used to being here. We were just let's keep going.
Right. Because you guys were long distance for a while since he moved out to California.
Yeah.
And then, it's how long were you guys long distance?
God. Okay. So our story is weird. This time we were long distance for about a year before I moved out here. But him and I dated first 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Actually, it'll be 9 years this month. Yeah. So we dated for 2 years when he was in Texas. And then that was when he decided he was moving to California. And he said, I'm not taking you. And I said, okay, cool. Sounds good.
Wow, harsh.
Yeah. Great times. Great times of my life. But we stayed close friends that whole time and would hook up when we were both single, all the fun little things that we would do in our 20s. And I'd come out and visit and stuff. And then we officially got back together last year. Yeah. So did long distance.
And I think that sometimes people are oh, when something like that happens, they're just like mad and angry. Where if you're like, all right, well, go do your thing, and I'm gonna like, we can keep in touch and like kind of keep it light and breezy almost.
Yeah, it was,
especially when you're in your 20s, like you're still figuring out so much.
Yes, it was very much so it could have gone a very different way, especially because, like, I was definitely the person of being, like, I thought he was the person I was going to marry at, like, 23. Like, and I was definitely ready to settle down, like, do those things. And Lee's a little bit more of that, like, free spirit, and I want to go explore and find out what's happening. But that was the best thing for both of us. Like, we grew so much, and I needed to learn certain things. He needed to learn certain things. Like, having that time apart was the best thing that we could have done. And I think if I had taken, like, me being so hurt and been like, I can't handle being friends with you, it would have gone a very different way. But I think the distance of that helped too. Like, I don't have to see everything you're doing right now, but we can still stay friends and catch up, and I would go visit and like that kind of stuff. So it worked out well. Yeah,
because where you're from in Texas, is it pretty like traditional, like get married young, have kids, or is it
kind of? So I'm from El Paso, so we very Hispanic culture heavy because borders right there, obviously. So like very much so in that Hispanic culture, I feel like it was very much of a you get married, you're home. Not that my parents ever pushed that. They were definitely a go make sure you get your degree, be able to handle your own.
That's good.
Yeah. But I was definitely also the person that like always wanted to be a mom and thought that that was like the route to go. And so being young, not knowing life, I was like, this is what I should be doing. And that was not what I should have been doing. So.
And Lee was like, later, I'm leaving.
Yeah, Lee was like, yeah, that ain't for me. Thanks.
I love him. He's one of my favorite people.
Oh, same here.
And then what made you decide to go to school to be a therapist? Like, did you know that from the beginning? Were you like, oh, I don't know anything, let me figure out who I am? Because I feel like that's what most people go, like, who become therapists or like,
not sure. No. Okay. So I took a really roundabout way to get to like being a therapist, but so I was a teacher for 7 years.
Oh, okay.
So I have my bachelor's in special education. I have my first master's in educational leadership to be a principal. And so I taught, and like for me, what it was like growing up, I always knew I wanted to work with kids. Same way that like I knew I wanted to be a mom, I knew I wanted to work with kids. Like my life has just always revolved that way. And I thought originally it was going to be me being a pediatrician.
Oh, okay.
I got to high school and realized that there's a lot of science in that, and I'm not good at science. So that was a hard stop.
Yeah.
And at that point, I kind of started working with kids in like a pre-K kind of situation. And I realized like teaching was an area that I wanted to go in, and special ed was like specifically like on my heart in that time. So I went to school for special ed. I taught special ed elementary school for like 4 years. And that was right when I finished my first master's. But my goal was to be a special ed director. I wanted to like be in charge of a district special ed program.
Okay.
And so for that, though, I wanted to be able to speak on every level that there was, since they would have to speak on every level that there was. And I didn't want to go in and be a leader that didn't know what my teachers were doing.
Right.
So I moved up to high school at that point, and I taught high school special ed for a year, and then I moved on to gen ed and just taught English, but I was also coaching.
What were you coaching?
Volleyball, and then 1 year was soccer, the next year was softball.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I would also drive the bus, fun fact.
And you're little. Like, yes. I want to see you drive a bus so bad.
Oh, it was great. I was driving all over the place. Like, it was a great time.
Were you a cheerleader in high school?
Was I?
Yeah.
No, I was on dance team my last 2 years, but I was a volleyball player for most of my life. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, because this is like, talk about your body, but like you have you're very fit and very, like you can tell you were an athlete, but you also have like this very cheery disposition that I just always imagined that you were a cheerleader. I don't know why.
It's funny because like growing up, I always wanted to be a cheerleader, but I was too shy as a child. And I was like terrified of being in front of people that way. As an adult, I'm a lot better now. But as a kid, there was no way until like high school. I did dance and I was on the sidelines and stuff. But yeah, no, it's fine. It was just my dream. But so with teaching, especially working with high school students, I always had kids in my room, and they were always coming and telling me what was going on and like what was happening at home, what was happening with their boyfriends, like everything else. And I realized teaching high school, like I love working with teenagers. They have so many real life things going on, but they're still at a point that you get to help mold and shape and like help them become who they're becoming. And that was like, I remember sitting there one day trying to teach like Shakespeare or Edgar Allan Poe or something ridiculous that like they don't care about.
Right.
And one of my kids that I had in a different class period came in kind of having like a meltdown. And I realized like I would much rather be dealing with this meltdown and like what's going on emotionally with you than like teaching this English to everybody else. Like it does nothing for me to teach you all this. Like anything. But like for me, like getting to like build that rapport with them and being able to know what was going on and see their cues and help them work through those things, like that was where my passion was. And then also not to mention that teaching was just burning me out. Like that profession is rough.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it.
It's insane. Like truly when I was teaching, coaching, and getting my master's all at the same time, like I went through and looked at salary wise, like my hours versus my salary. And I think like with all the hours, like games, practices, being at school for everything else, I was making like somewhere between $6 and $10 an hour.
Oh my God.
Like it was insane. Yeah.
Yeah, because people don't realize, like, you don't get paid to go to. I mean, if you're coaching, maybe you're getting something to go to the games.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But like for the most part, if your teachers are showing up at games or after school events or they're coming in early to meet with you, like they don't get paid for that.
No, they don't get paid for any of it.
And we don't pay our teachers enough, and like that's a whole other.
Mm-hmm. And we just keep throwing things on their plates. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, and like now it seems like so many parents let the teachers be parenting their kids too. And like I get it in some ways because everyone's so busy working and they're doing this and they're doing that. And nobody's like, it's just such a different place than like how I grew up or how so many of us grew up, like the generations before.
Yeah.
And it's like they just are like, well, you have them for most of the day, so it's your job. It's like, it's everybody's job.
Yeah. It takes a village. Like it really does take a village with all these kids. And as a teacher, you wear every hat. Like your nurse, your counselor, your teacher, your parent, your friend, you literally, and you have to change at like a drop of a hat for whatever kid is coming up and like needs whatever it is from you.
Yeah.
And it's very rewarding. And like, it's the piece with like working with the kids that I loved, but it was also like everything else that was coming with it. Like, as much emotional work as I'm doing with these kids, I'm still getting badgered by admin about my test scores, about why this isn't high enough and what's going on in here. And like, there's just so many areas that like isn't seen with teachers that we don't talk about and we don't care about because our kids are being taken care of and that's all we're worried about. But there's still so much more to it. And it's exhausting. Our career is exhausting.
Yeah. I really don't know how people, I mean, it has to be passion because it's not for anything else, right?
It is. Yeah.
They have to just have a passion for it. And like you have now, like you figured out like, oh, this is actually where I want to be. Like I imagine there are some teachers that are like, just go to the therapist. I don't know. Like, I don't want to talk to you about this.
Just go to the counselor. Don't want to deal with it. Yep. 100%. And like, I was the teacher that, and it would piss off all the other teachers, which I never understood, but like, I just always had kids in my room at lunch. Like, I always opened my doors because I was like, I'm sitting in my room doing whatever, and this is at least a safe place for you to come hang out in. Like, you have somewhere to go.
Right.
You and your friends can hang out. Like, you're not getting in trouble for things. And so, in my classroom was just always that revolving door. And so, but it would make other teachers mad. I never understood that.
Well, because they want like their peace and quiet for the hour that like the kids are supposed to be wherever. And I can kind of get that. Like if you are not into the emotional side of the teaching, like you really like believe that kids should learn about Edgar Allan Poe and like, you know, you're like Shakespeare is the key to life. Like,
He knows
you know
everything.
what I mean? Like, yeah, like I get like if you're one of those teachers that's super passionate about your subject and like teaching the young minds about that, but you're not super into like their emotions and to be like, all right, yeah, I'm going to teach you. And then that's where like my job ends.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that. I mean, you want every teacher to give like shit about every aspect of your kid, I would imagine. But we're humans. Like some people just don't have it.
No, exactly. And I know, I guess I can understand it. Like I do get it. I guess I was always the person too that like I've always been so emotional. And so like I really understood that side with those kids of like knowing like depression, anxiety, like these things are happening. Like you're having thoughts, like stuff's going on. And especially being that young, your hormones are raging. So like everything's happening.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, that was also part of like realizing like being a therapist would be the best area to like really go into because I know that side of it. Like I know the opposite side of sitting in sitting on the couch rather than the therapist chair, and like knowing what those places feel like for them. And especially as a teen, like I feel like as a teen, I was very, very, very emotional. And like, that was when I first started going to therapy, was when I was in high school. And so I think realizing like I loved working with the emotional side, and like knowing I had a background in that from just my own experiences, that was really the big, like, I can do this rather than teaching.
And it probably is the reason why like you connect so well with them, is because you're not it's like when I talk to people, right? Like I come from a place of curiosity and like non-judgmental, and like just tell me, and like I'm fascinated, and like tell me your, you know, whatever. Like you know me, I love weirdos and like eccentric people. Like I collect them. I'm like, tell me more. I want to know everything. Like, you know, and it's people will tell me stuff because I'm so curious and just open. And because you have that background of like, no, and you remember. I think people forget what it was like to be a kid.
Yes.
Like, and they don't, because I remember being a kid and like being like, I am, you know, worried about this. And they're like, don't worry about it. Like, it's not your concern or anything. And be like, this is all I can think about.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, what else? Like
this is the big thing in my world. Like, I'm not an adult that has 10 million other things coming at me. This is the only thing that I have.
Yeah. And like, I can't control anything. So I just want to understand what's happening and why. And like, it would annoy the shit out of my family because I would be like, but hold on, why is this? And why would they do that? And I would always have questions. And it was like my anxiety was, I needed to get those answers to calm my anxiety, but people wouldn't even talk to me about stuff. So then I would be like spiraling and they'd be like, just don't worry about it. I'm like, how do you just not worry about something?
Yeah.
Like that's all I can think about all day, every day is this one issue in my life. Like I sit in class and they're talking to me about fucking Shakespeare and all I'm thinking about is this stuff.
Yeah.
And like, and nobody wants to talk to, and it was like maddening. And I was like, I think sometimes if anyone would have just like sat me down and been like, this is this, and here is this, and this is, and we don't know why this happens, you know, like it would have calmed me so much that I think like my trajectory would have been different.
Oh, 100%. Like I think about that all the time, where we as adults forget that, one, like you said, like control, like they don't have any control over anything that's happening to them.
Right.
But two, they're learning the world right now. And we can't just sit there and say like, well, just deal with it, or just go do this, or just go do that, because they don't know how to do that stuff. Like we have to model everything for them. And it takes time. And I think that's part of what the issue is too, with adults are so busy and parents have so much going on and whatever else. But it's like, that's what these kids need. And the other piece I think too is like, especially with like our parents and things like that, is they didn't know how to regulate emotions at that point.
They didn't even know they had emotions.
No, they were just like, and you do the thing and this is what it is. And, you know, and like that was like with my parents, like I was very much so an anxious, depressed kid. Like I really, really struggled with it. And my parents, I remember like my mom being like, we don't believe in that. Like that's not a real thing. And she sent me to therapy still in high school, but because of things that I had going on in my relationship at the time, not because of, oh, she's depressed, she's anxious, when that's really what it should have been, like that goal of. And it took a long time for her to come to and be like, oh, like that is like, these are real things that happen.
Right.
And it's like with kids, we have to recognize those emotions and like give them a space to feel them in safe ways. But as adults, I feel like they just didn't know how to do that yet.
Right. Well, yeah, because like their parents didn't know, right? Like it's not that many generations ago that like kids were working at like 8 years old. Yeah, you know, like crazy. We forget that. Like that's not that many generations ago that your parents or your great grandparents were probably. Yeah,
like my grandma was Germany right after the Holocaust, essentially. She started working, I want to say, like in the factories around probably 12 or 13. I'm like, which is crazy because I'm like, that is so close to us generationally. And I'm like, how does that work?
Right.
Like, can't even imagine that.
My grandmother came to the U.S. when she was 15, we think, and she was a domestic. So she came down and was a maid. So she wasn't like, she at 15. Like,
that's crazy. I know 15, 16, my grandma had her first kid. And my grandfather's from Puerto Rico. They didn't even speak the same language.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Crazy. And they have 4 kids now. But they came to the U.S. when she was 18 with 2 babies. Wow. And I'm like, and how do you do that not speaking English?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And so many people, like, they forget, like, you forget how far we've come. Like, in the child protection laws, in just how we treat kids.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, like I was raised, you were to be seen and not heard. Mm-hmm. Like we didn't get participation trophies. We barely got to participate. Like,
well, and I think it's so funny because like we are now like starting to complain about like the participation trophies or like the way that we're handling kids and that they're so soft. And I do think that there are ways that we probably need to like make sure that kids like understand like the workforce and what's going to happen when we go out into the world and what that looks like. But I also think we're also being really quick to forget what it was like before we were trying to be softer to these kids.
Right. Well, yeah, I was talking to my therapist one day and she was saying something about how we overcorrected as parents. And I was like, not we, you. And now I have to put up with it.
Exactly.
I was like, I didn't have kids for a reason.
You're like, I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. Like I was like, no, thank you. Mm-hmm. But like it is, like we do have to... I think kids have gotten too soft and like, and it's the invention of the internet, right? Like
that too,
everyone's opinion, like everyone thinks their opinion matters and it's like, it doesn't actually. Like, and no, you shouldn't feel the right to weigh in on stuff you don't know about or on someone else's life. Like,
no, and well, that and even just bringing in like the social media aspect of it and like the way that hits our dopamine and what it does to our brain levels is crazy. And I'm like, especially as a kid, like I know I struggled with body image and what that looked like. And that wasn't having all of the social media platforms that we have now, you know? And I'm like, I can't imagine what some of these girls are dealing with and how they deal with that body dysmorphia and like, and just everything else. I'm like, that they throw on the internet now. And then also even just figuring out with AI, what's real and what's not real.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to be like a 15-year-old girl now.
No.
Like, and I try to talk to my niece about some of it, but you know, our world is so different that like, she's just like, she doesn't want to talk to me about, you know, like a 15-year-old girl does not want to talk to her 45-year-old aunt about like what it's like to be a 15-year-old girl.
Oh yeah.
Like not about like, yeah, just, they're like, no, I don't.
they're like, this is not what I'm doing today.
Yeah, like, they're like, thank you. Your wrist sucks. Go in the other room.
Yeah, they're like, I hate everybody, thanks.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to have talked to my aunts about what it was like. Because I also think, like, back then, my aunts wouldn't have listened.
Correct.
Like, they just wouldn't have. They would be like, yeah, I don't, you know, whatever.
They're like, I didn't ask this question.
They're like, we're trying to, like, make dinner and work. I don't know. You know, like
just to live our lives. Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't something that they were like concerned with.
No. And I think about that too. It's funny because like I have my aunt that is really close with my mom. Like they talk all the time, but she's somebody that I'm like, no, I'm not going to come talk to you because anything I say to you is going straight to my mom, or you're gonna disagree with me like my mom does.
Yeah. My family can't give a compliment without insulting you.
Oh, 100%.
And it's like I always joke that I grew up in the passive aggressive Olympics, and like we're from Boston, so we just bust each other's balls naturally. Like. Yeah. You know, and we on everything. Like he's kind of like, we call him a cousin, but like he got into Harvard when we were in like junior high, and like we were all, oh, good for you, you're going to Harvard, like full ride, fucking nerd. I love it. And like that's an amazing thing, and we would be like, stupid. Like it was just terrible. Like
Yep. Yeah.
And then you'd have like someone like, you know, getting arrested. You'd be like, yeah, moron got arrested, you know, like there was no winning. Like it didn't matter what you were doing. We were going to knock you down and like, just bust your balls about it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Mine was more of like the comparative. Like it was you made a 90. Well, like, why didn't you make 100? Or like, why did they make a higher grade? It's like, geez, y'all, like I tried. I did something.
Oh, yeah. It was same with us too. Yeah. It was like you could never, someone else was always doing like, oh, did you hear about someone? Like it wasn't even an acknowledgement that you said anything. It would be like, well, do you know that so-and-so did this? And you're like, okay, I have no idea what that has to do with me in this art show, but sure, okay, like
thanks.
Yeah, I'm glad they're in a Broadway play. Like, yeah, I guess they're just better than me. Like,
My favorite was always throwing it back anytime I get in trouble and like throwing my brother under the bus and be like, "Well, that didn't happen to Ryan when he did this."
Oh yeah,
it was like. I was like, didn't need to throw you under there, but I'm in trouble, so we're all going down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The civil right. Like my brother was Jesus Christ. He could never do anything wrong.
Same.
Like I was just like whatever. Like I could do something and it would be.
Oh yeah, I was the devil child. They literally called me the devil child growing me up. Yeah, I was the youngest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Youngest out of like all the cousins and everything too. Oh. So it was. Yeah, I was definitely princess. Like, I got whatever I wanted, but I also was like wild child and like, I'm gonna do what I want. So I was definitely in trouble all of the time. Great times.
Well, yeah, because I think when you're the youngest, you either get away with everything or you get away with nothing.
Yeah. See, I feel like I got a good middle ground. Like, I was pretty good at getting my way out of things, like being like, "Oh, I'm in trouble," but like for how long? And like, how can I get around this? But then
like, you're so cute, okay.
yeah, or I would just annoy them long enough. But then there were other times that like I would like do something really stupid and I'd like really get in trouble, and it was like, okay, yeah, I can't do anything.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So fun. Like a little terrified of what my child's going to do after the things that I did and things I know Lee did, but it's okay.
Yeah, but you'll be prepared for it. And like, I feel like the wilder you are as like growing up, the more calm your kid seems to be.
I'm hoping so.
Like, and I know that's not true for everyone. Like, people are probably like, but like most of my friends that were super wild, like their kids are kind of just chill and calm and relaxed.
I hope so.
Or at least, at the ages they are now.
Yeah. I'm like, we'll see. Because I definitely started like probably by like 8 years old. I was like definitely like ready to scream at my parents all the time because I was like, I want what I want. So we'll see.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Little.
But you also have a village, so we'll all be like chiming in and.
Oh, 100%. I already told Leah, I was like, every weekend we're just handing this baby off to somebody because she needs to get used to like being around everyone.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good thing for kids is to like early socialization. And I mean, you can speak to this more because you've done all the research. I've just done like I have, I don't know, like 70 something first cousins or something like that.
Oh my God.
And I'm on the older end of most of that. So like I babysat a lot as a kid, and like to watch different parents and the way they parented and the way like, and because I've always been fascinated by people, like since I was a little kid, like watching the way some parents acted towards their kids versus other parents and like the outcomes of it was always like fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Or to see the kids, how they would act with me when it's just us versus when their parents are around versus when this person's around. And it's like, oh yeah, like tiny humans are that, like kids are tiny humans.
Yes.
And they're like, they come out pretty baked. Like you are kind of who you are when you're born.
100%. Like you start seeing their personalities as babies and it just shoots from there. And like there are factors I think that definitely play a role into it as they grow up. But I'm like, but they know who they are. Yeah. Like they are who they are. That's what they're going to do. Like it's crazy. It is crazy watching them. The one that blows my mind with relationships with them is their relationship with mom. And like how different they will act with mom comparatively to everybody else. I'm like, it is wild because moms get probably the worst end of everything. Yeah. And I'm like, but it's their safe place. And it's wild the way that they instinctively know that to me. And like the way that just happens. And like almost every kid I've ever watched does that. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Do you think it's because there's that like connection of like that's how you came into the world, and it's like that is supposed to be the one person that's always unconditional no matter what, that you like kind of test those boundaries?
I do. I do think that it's that initial like instinctive like this person's gonna love me no matter what it is, and so like I get to be that who I am and what I am when I'm with them. I do think there's parts of that that's also the nurture that's like how moms are with them. But I do think that's why there's that connection always, right? Like even if mom isn't around or great mom, like I still feel like that's a big wound in a kid's life or in a person's life from that. And I think it's because it's so instinctual that that person should be the one that protects you and is there and does everything else.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's so harmful when that can't happen. And it can't happen for like tons of different reasons. And, there's no shade, but it's like... And if you can't, I don't, so how do you think adoption kind of like helps heal that? I haven't really ever thought of that. I don't know why it just popped into my head, but like just thinking about, I don't know how it really can, like, when it can't happen, how do you kind of fix it?
How do you fix that?
Yeah.
I think I kind of know, I think I know where you're going with it, like in the thought process of adoption, right? Like, I think part of it is one of our instinctual needs is needing that like care and love and protectiveness. Like even though when we sit down and really look at our hierarchy of needs, like having that should be towards the top, because emotionally, like that's a huge emotional need that we have. So I do think within adoption, you're still getting a piece of that emotional need being met, because you're having somebody that literally chose you and wants you and has that piece of it. And I think that there's probably still going to be that wound there, because you've still lost mom, and there was something in that especially if mom had to give you up or like couldn't get their life, whatever it is, right? But there's a wound there somewhere, but you at least still have this like instinctual portion of it that's your needs being met somewhere.
Right.
And there still might be work that has to be done later, which we all do either way. But But I think that is a good way to like kind of help bridge that gap at least.
Yeah. I think adoption is one of the most beautiful things.
Oh, I do too.
I always have, when I was young and I was like, when I first was like, I'm not having kids, like, I don't think I ever want them. I was like, I might go get some, but like, I don't want to have them.
Yeah.
Like, it was just something I knew from a very early age. And then I found out I probably wouldn't be able to have them. And it wasn't like a big deal. Like when the doctor told me, I was like, that's fine. I'm like, we can just get rid of this oven, because like, I'm not having them anyways. And he was like, no, you'll change your mind. And I was like, no, I won't. Like, I don't want to have, like, I don't have to, I have plenty of DNA running around in the world. Like, I don't have the need to, like, pass on my genes.
Yeah.
Like, I can see them in my family. Like, I just didn't have it.
See, it's so interesting to me because, like I said earlier, like, I've always wanted to be a mom.
Right.
But I didn't think about the pregnancy piece and, like, what that does to you and your body. And the second that you're pregnant, it's not your body anymore. And I truly, like, I never really understand surrogacy and, like, all of that stuff up until now being pregnant. And I'm like, oh, no, I get it.
Because
like,
you have hated being pregnant. Is that fair for me to say?
Yeah, it is fair. I've hated it. And that took me by surprise because, again, always wanted this. Like, but it wasn't the piece I thought about. I just thought it would be so joyful and so fun and all these things. And I didn't account for the fact that I'm going to be nauseous and everything's going to hurt and I'm exhausted and my hormones are going up the wall crazy. Like, I feel like a 12-year-old girl getting her period for the first time and like crying at everything, mad at everything. And it was like terrible. And then, like I said earlier too, with like body image, like watching myself grow in these ways and knowing that it needs to do that. And it's all there for my baby. And like, I will totally do it again for another kid, but it's still hard. You're giving up all of these things for yourself. And then to just lifestyle change. Like, I mean, I love to party and it just is what it is. Like, I love to party and I can't because I'm pregnant and that affects her and I can't do that. And it's a really weird feeling, but I'm like, but now I get it. Now I get why people would go do surrogacy or would just choose adoption and not go through this way because I'm like, it takes a toll. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, your body goes through so many changes. And then it's the hormones. I did some hormone treatments and stuff because when I did try to get pregnant and I hated it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't like this feeling. I don't like feeling like I can't regulate my own emotions. Like, this is 10 times worse than the anxiety that I deal with because, like, you know, it's the rumination on like 1,000.
Yes.
And I was like, I couldn't stop the loops.
Yes.
And I was like, I feel like I'm insane. And like, I was like, I can't. And I was like, I would not, like, I don't want to do that. Like,
yeah, no, that was exactly like I probably just the last couple of weeks have finally started to feel like I got out of that portion of it and like have leveled. But it was like for sure 3 months of me just being like, I am going crazy. I'm losing my mind. Like, I'm so depressed. I'm anxious. I can't control anything. Like, it's wild and it's not talked about enough. Like, there's not enough information out there. I know we talk a lot about like postpartum, but even that is still coming out with more information.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they don't talk about what happens during pregnancy and how isolating it can get and like what that looks like. And then even with postpartum, they almost make you wait till about the 2-week mark after to see if you're truly having postpartum depression because your hormones are doing so many things.
Right.
But the other piece of that is because there's not enough research out there about women's health and what we need, and especially with mental health and what happens with hormones and how that throws everything. And it's crazy, like the lack of support and resources that are in that for pregnancy and postpartum and what that looks like.
Yeah. And I think most women don't want to talk about how hard pregnancy can be because one, especially there's so many women that can't have kids, so like they feel so lucky to be pregnant, so they don't want to then be complaining about their being. And it's like all of these mental gymnastics to like care for people and be like soft to some people, but like while you're kind of being a detriment to you and your group that you're in. It's like not voting in your best interest, right? It's like there are moms that are probably struggling the same way you are, but they don't want to come out and be talking about it, or they don't want to sound like they're complaining that they're pregnant.
Right. And because it's supposed to be so joyful. It's supposed to be so happy and such a great time in life and like so exciting. And it is like there's great things to it and a great thing is going to come out of it. But that doesn't like negate the fact of what's happening in that moment and like how bad it feels and just like needing those supports. And I think too, it's really hard for moms to come out and be like, hey, I need support. Like, because I think especially as women, we kind of get downed for when we need things or when we need help or like whatever it is. And so it's hard for us to come out and be like, I need this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you get like, oh, she's just being emotional or dramatic or she just needs the attention. And you're like, yeah, I do need the attention because I'm struggling. Like,
like I'm not doing well. Like, help me.
Yeah. And it's like we do get looked like somehow we're supposed to be able to handle it all and like look good while we're doing it. And it's like, no, sometimes I'm going to look like shit and I'm not going to be okay. And that's okay too.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And like for me, like I'm definitely a recovering people pleaser. And like I feel like in this place now, it took a long time for me to finally be like, wait, I'm not doing well. And like to really like finally even like just admit it to just leave was like yeah, this isn't good. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the other piece is like you said, we try to hold up like we can do everything and we can't.
Yeah.
And especially with like postpartum, looking at healing and like you have this huge wound in your body. You just pushed a baby out or had your whole intestines like pulled out for a C-section and like you're supposed to go home a day or two after and just act like nothing happened and like be normal and
take care of a human.
Like that's crazy. Like that is wild to me.
Yeah, and your emotions are everywhere, and everything hurts. And now you have, with like one day you're just pregnant, and the next day you have a tiny human, and your body's been
through everything.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, now take care of him or her, and do it with a smile, and make sure your house is clean.
Yeah, and keep them alive. It's fine, and also be a cow because you got to give them all the milk. Like it's crazy, and it's crazy too because I have the best partner for what I'm doing. Like, he's truly just magnificent in the way he takes care of everything. But the other side of that is that men don't have to deal with any of it. So they really don't get what's happening or like understand why we're losing on them all of a sudden or crying or staying in bed or whatever it is because their world doesn't shift the same way.
Right.
And so it's really hard to find that connection to even having somebody that like understands and is trying to be there and trying to do all the things. It's really hard to figure out like your footing in that connection and how to understand like my whole life has just shifted the second I got pregnant and yours hasn't shifted at all.
Yeah, they don't have to give up anything. They don't have to adjust their lifestyle. I mean, some of them, like you said, like Lee's great and he's adjusted to like, what do you need? And, you know, I'm going to do what you do and, you know, like making sure you eat and all that stuff. Like he is a really great partner. It's been nice watching it.
Yes.
And so it's amazing, but it's still, there's like this lack of awareness almost.
Yeah.
Because they actually have to think about how your life has changed. Because theirs
theirs is exactly the same.
Yeah.
I watch all these TikToks all the time. That's like women are like, I'm over here fighting for my life with like nausea, like can't eat, like all this stuff. And the guy that did this was just sitting there watching TV like nothing has ever happened. And I'm like, it's exactly what it is though.
Yeah.
Like they have no idea what's going on. And as much as like they're doing everything they can for it, their world doesn't shift the same way. Yeah. And then their bodies don't have to go through everything and they don't have all of that. And so it's just so interesting.
Yeah. And it's so interesting that like, if you're extra emotional or you need something extra or it's like a drag for them to have to do something for you. And it's like, oh, bro, I'm so sorry you have to take care of your pregnant wife. Like,
like, sorry, I just grew an organ today.
She's so needy. And you're like, dude, nothing changes for you.
Yeah, literally nothing. You're going about your life like
you don't have to pee 5 times more a day. Like,
the peeing is killing me. I'm like, the amount of times I get up at night, I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's like, can you stop getting up? It's disturbing my sleep.
We're really big travelers, and so we were in Nashville a couple of weeks ago, and like we went on probably like a 10-minute walk through downtown or something, but like the amount of breaks we had to take so I could either go pee or just like catch my breath. And he was like, I'm just following you because this is a lot different from like our other trips. Like, yeah, I can't do anything right now. It's great times.
It will be all worth it, though,
It will.
when you see her little face.
I'm so excited. It's going to be a good one, but just pregnancy is not it. But I will say, going from like dealing with this now, it is making me want to get more into like pregnancy and postpartum within being a therapist too, and getting more resources in that way, and being able to be there for more women in that, because it's like I'm now realizing there's just not a lot out there for it. And and it's really hard to find therapists that specialize in postpartum and pregnancy and all of those things. So,
well, that's interesting. And it's a good, like, you're turning something that's been hard into something that will be beautiful, you know? And because once you finish all your licensing, and even now you can start to take private clients, right?
Yeah.
So you've started your practice. So you can do and that's kind of fun that you get to talk kind of like you were saying when you were going into special ed about wanting to be able to talk on all kind of subjects and ages. Now, like, you'll be able to pull from your own experience to help others, and you'll be doing not just kids, but you'll be doing moms, and, you know, maybe start a mom group or something, or like an expecting moms group or something.
Yeah. That would
you know,
be really
where
fun.
you can really turn it into something that's kind of giving back and helping those others.
Yeah, that's kind of my goal with, I think, being a therapist in general, is taking like my experiences and helping with other people. And like, I think what's really cool with being a therapist too is because like all of your therapists are going through things at the same time as you are, right? Like they all have their own lives, they all have whatever. And I think that's really cool about being a therapist though, is that as some of my clients go through things, there are times sometimes where like I might be going through the same kind of situations, or I haven't gone through it yet, but I will later, and starting to see like their perspectives and what works and what doesn't, and like getting that feedback too, just for my own life in general, is really cool.
Right. Yeah. You must learn things, and it may like open kind of doors and windows in your brain about like how to deal with something, or like what doesn't work and what does work, and or kind of just how people react to different things. And it gives you kind of more preparation to move through the world with more perspective, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, just like you, like being like curious about like people's lives, that's other pieces. Like I just get so much about people's lives, and I'm like, oh, I never thought about this way, or I never thought about these things, and like understanding that, and like being able to put yourself in their perspective or their shoes and like understand, that's been really, really cool.
Yeah. That's what kind of like this whole pod is about, is like hearing people's stories and being able to share it, and like pull on what I've gone through in life to share, like, yeah, shit gets hard and it gets fucking terrible. But then like it gets better. Like I have a friend, and he's always like, everything always works out. And like, I'm like, he's so like kind of zen and like matter of fact about it, where I'm like, you know, I'm just worried about it. And he's like, well, whatever, it'll just work out, like, or it won't, but it will be fine.
Or it won't.
Yeah. And I'm just always like, so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
But it also is kind of how I kind of move through the world.
Yeah.
He just says it in such a way that I'm just like, yeah, all right. Like, I know it will, but like right now I'm super frustrated, and I would like you to like understand that I'm frustrated, and not just be like, yeah, well, whatever, it'll work out. Like,
See, I will say though, like there's something to be said about when somebody just understands. Like, just let me say the things that I'm saying. I tell Lee that all the time, because Lee is a fixer. He's like, this is the solution. This is what we're doing. And I'm like, nope, I just needed you to listen to me this time and just sit there and nod and tell me I'm great. Like, that's all I needed.
Do you therapize your relationship? Like, are you good at being like, okay, Lee, I just need you to listen now? And like, are you good at, because like, I know that's like, that's one of those tools in like Esther Perel, or one of those will say like, you know, define what you need in that moment to help your partner help you. And so are you good at that or no?
Okay, so I don't.
That's a no, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, I don't therapize him though. Okay, I feel like both of us, Lee's very much so. I think he would do really well as a therapist as well. Like he's gone through his own form of like CBT therapy before, and he is very good at like rational thinking and really coming to those solutions, and like getting through thought processes with people and working through that. So I feel like we both kind of do it to each other. Like we both, like when there's situations, but I do think that we both kind of know how to turn it on and off. Like when I come to him and I'm like super emotional, he definitely is like, I'm in therapist mode with me.
Right.
he doesn't come to me as often with like big things, so I'm like, oh, well, I don't get to do that as often with him. But I do think like when it actually comes to our relationship, like we both do a very good job of like taking a step back and being able to kind of see it from both perspectives, and then coming together and also like having those relationship conversations.
Yeah.
But I do think that has to do with both of us gone through our own therapy and like kind of understanding that communication style of things. But as far as like turning off being the therapist, I feel like I do it all the time with like my friends. Or I'm like thinking in the back of my head, or I'm like diagnosing people in my head that they're like telling me about, and like that's hard for me to turn off.
Oh yeah, I would imagine. Because like yeah, I can imagine that's hard. Because like you'd want to like just, if I had the knowledge that you had, I would be like diagnosing all of my friends. I'd be like, well, you know that you do this because it's a pattern because of your trauma from when you were 12 and your uncle said this shit to you. Like,
It's so funny because like I feel like I do that to myself in my brain. Like when I ruminate on stuff, that's where my brain goes. Is I'm like, okay, well, where in my childhood did this happen, and how did this work, and what's my childhood wound, and how do I work on this?
yeah, I do that too now, especially. So growing up, one of my best friends started therapy like when we were young. And I remember, sorry, Mom, I told the story the other day. Like the first time I asked to go to therapy, my mother was like, why? So you can just blame me for everything?
Yeah, that was.
And I
my
was
mom.
like, well, no, that wasn't originally why I was going, but I mean, it was probably a lot of your fault. Like,
But now that you mention it, yes, yes, that is exactly.
but I was
why
like, no, I'm just super depressed and anxious, and it feels like it's just getting worse. Like, and I was kind of a sick kid, so like it was all I was like always sick, and it was, you know. But my childhood, one of my closest friends, she was in therapy always, and she always had like, you know, just more issues than I did. And I'd be like, you go to therapy. Like, doesn't that help? Like, what would be happening if you didn't go to therapy? But I had this belief that when you got older, like nothing that happened in your childhood mattered. Or like when people would talk about like going back in childhood therapy and like, you know, healing your inner child, like I always kind of thought it was bullshit.
Yep.
And like, I remember the first time I said it to my therapist, she was like, well, you realize like all of your hurt comes from that, right? And like, and then she would like pinpoint something. She'd like, remember when you told me about this? Like, do you know that that incident led you to do all of this? And I'd be like, well, fuck.
You're like, I didn't need you to call me out that hard.
And I'm like, wow, like but
Yep.
I can see that. Yep. I can see why I do that because of that. All right. Like maybe there's something to this.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, you think that's why thousands of people have to do this work? Because everyone gets damaged in childhood?
You're like, that didn't make sense.
I'm like,
to
yeah,
me,
that didn't track for me.
Like,
I was just like,
that does not equal each other.
yeah, I'm like, I don't think 1 + 2 = 3, but okay. Like,
I love that. See, it's funny because like I know these things, but I'll even sit there and I'm like, well, I know that there's that childhood wound, but like I don't know how to go back and fix that. I'm like, I don't know what I want to do about that. Like it happened. It's there. We're done. So let's move forward.
Yeah.
What now?
Yeah. But I had a therapist one time that was like, because I was like, because it's one of always my questions when I meet a therapist, especially a new one, like, how do you feel about that stuff? Like, is it stuff that we all, like, do I have to really go back and talk about all of that shit?
Right.
Right. And I was like, because I just don't want to. There's stuff I don't want to go back and remember. Like, I don't want to go back into those thoughts, into that time period. I don't want to. Like, I know some bad shit happened there, and
I don't need to rehash it.
Yeah, I'm like, but like, and so I had one therapist that was like, you survived it. Right. So, and I was like, but did I? And she's like, well, you're here sitting in my office. So yeah, like it didn't kill you and it didn't. And like, and she was like, if you don't think you have to go back and talk about it, then that's not the stuff you have to go back and talk about.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so I don't have to do it all? Like,
yeah. Like,
and she's like,
you
no, you can
pick and choose.
Yeah. She was like, no, you can like be like, hey, I do this thing in my life and I think it might be tied to something. Can we explore that? And she's like, and we may not. It may not.
Yeah.
She's like, while we're talking about something else might go off. And we don't have to go back into that if that's not where that wound comes from.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't have to open every wound. And I was just like, okay, like that makes sense to me too. Like, and she's like, sometimes you'll think a bad thing or like you think one of your traits is from this bad thing. She's like, but really it's from like some other insignificant like comment from someone that just stuck in your brain in a different way.
Yep.
And she's like, and while we're talking about something, it might lodge through.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is true. Like, there's so many things in our lives that, like, we probably don't remember that have caused us to have a wound or whatever it is, or, like, feel certain ways about certain things. And it's like, but like she said, like not everything has to be rehashed. Not everything has to go back to. And I think too, it's interesting because I think a lot of people think like going to therapy is going to be this end all be all. Like I'm going to therapy, I'm going to be fixed. It's going to be what it is. And something I explain to every client is I'm like, one, like this isn't a doctor's office. You're not coming in to be like, give me a prescription and then I'm going to be fine and everything's good. Like this is ongoing. It's consistently working. And like the more work you do outside of therapy, the more you get out of it. And I'm like, but this 1 hour isn't going to be your end all be all fix all of everything. But then I also tell them like, but this is also your time. So like make it what you need it to be. Like I will guide and I will help and I will try to give you resources and coping mechanisms, whatever it is. But it's your time. Like you get to pick and choose what it is you want to work on and what you want to discuss and like get into and what you want to feel and what you don't want to feel. And I think for a lot of people that doesn't necessarily click for them right away with therapy. Right. Of like, this is for you and it's your time. It's not me coming at you and telling you what it is you need or what it is. Like, you know yourself better than anybody else. So like, this is for you at this point.
But I remember when I first started going to therapy and she'd be like, well, what do you want to talk about? And I'd be like, I don't know. And she'd be like, well, this is your time. And I'd be like, okay, I don't know what, like, and it was like overwhelming to
have too much,
to figure out like what to, like, I'm like, you're the professional though. Like, tell me what I should be talking about. Like, see, and I was looking for like a little bit of guidance where I was just like, I don't know. Like, do you want me to start when I was 12? Like, where do I start with my story? Or like, you know, like it was kind of overwhelming and scary to get into it, to be like, and when you are kind of like a kid that has anxiety and depression, you don't talk about yourself a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You get used to deflecting and to, you know, not making it about you.
Yes.
So then it was like really hard to be like, okay, so now I'm just going to have to sit here for an hour and talk about myself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like it was like, I couldn't. Like I sometimes would be like, okay, can we be done early then? Like I was just like, I knew I needed therapy, but I didn't know how to utilize it.
Interesting. Yeah. And like, I guess my first question is always like, what brought you to therapy? Like, what is it that made you want to come? Like, what is it that first initially was like, okay, I need to go. This is what I'm doing. Right. Because I feel like that answer tells you a lot. And I think it tells you a lot about what their goals are. And I think that for me as a therapist helps me start guiding like, okay, well, which way am I taking some questions to at least ask you? Right. And so like, because I never just say like, okay, what do you want to talk about today? Yeah. But it's usually just kind of like, well, what's been going on? Like, tell me about your week first or whatever it is. Right. Just kind of get things moving.
Yeah.
But then when I think about like teenagers and like kids and things like that, you can't do that with them because kids don't know why they're in therapy half the time, right? And so a lot of times with them, it's playing games and getting them to like loosen up and like getting comfortable in it. But I think that works with adults too sometimes, and we forget that adults are just big children. Like, you know?
When I first started going, because I had done therapy and then taken breaks, and because I think breaks are important.
Agree.
And I think sometimes you have to change your therapist.
Agree.
But it's so hard to find a good one. Like, I do understand sticking with one for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think if you're not like getting the results that you want and you're not meeting your goals, then like, even if you really adore your therapist, it's time to find one that's going to push you a little more.
Yes.
But when I went to grief counseling for the first time, like I was like, I'm really anxious about sitting back down. And I had a bad experience with one of my therapists, which kind of like, I was like off of it for a while.
Yep.
And so I was very honest with her about that. And she was like, well, do you want to go for a walk? And I was like, fuck yeah, I do.
Yep.
Because we talked about something and I was like, I walk a lot. And so, you know, I was like, that's part of what I do to help like clear my brain is I'll go for a walk. Sometimes I'll go with a friend and so we can bullshit. And like other times it's just like with no music or a podcast or whatever. And so we went for a walk like one or two of our first visits.
Yeah.
And it really like just helped me feel like the anxiety of like sitting down to talk about this terrible thing was like so much less anxious provoking. And then one day she asked me to do like a crafts project.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is too much pressure. And she was like, what? And I'm like, I can't, because I'm too worried about making something that's like pretty and that you'll like and that. And I was like, this is not my medium.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. She's like, but like good for you to like speak up. Because I started to do it and I was just like, yeah, I can't do this. And she was like, really? I'm like, yeah. I was like, this gives me so much anxiety because it's like performance. And I was like, and now I want to perform well for you and it's not going to get us the results. And then I felt super empowered too because I was like, oh, I realize that about myself. And
it's growth.
am like, And she was like, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, that doesn't mean I graduate, right?
You're like, I can't leave. It's funny because I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions that go along with therapy of like, you sit down on the couch and they talk to you and like, this is what happens. And it's like, no, that's not what therapy is. And then I think the other piece is that I think a lot of people don't realize therapists are using theories. Like we have a huge gamut of theories that are researched and proven and all of these things that we are using and utilizing and pulling from. And it's not just let me sit down, like, hear your problems, right? But then, like, they also don't realize that those little moments of being able to, like, say things for yourself that, like, you normally wouldn't, or, like, understanding something about yourself, like, those are the little things that we're really trying to, like, pull out to, like, get those things to be normal again.
Right.
And, like, let you be able to be who you are in a way that feels comfortable. But there's just so many misconceptions around therapy, I feel like, with those aspects of how it works and, like, what therapists do and if it really does work or if this is whatever it is. And it's hard being in that field too and like hearing what some people think of therapy and you're like, that's not what this is. And you probably had a really bad therapist if that's what you think this is. Yeah. And it's sad because there are a lot of those out there, but then you find really good ones that like care and they know what they're doing and they can see through things that you're doing. And because I was a lot like you where I was like, I don't want to go to therapy and like talk about myself, but like also knowing how to kind of work things because I had been depressed and anxious for so long and I knew how to put up so many fronts. And so I think I was 21 or 22, I walked into like a therapist's office and I looked at her and I said, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to bullshit you the whole time. Just going to bullshit you. And I was like, I need you to call me out. I need you to give me homework and I need you to call me out. And she was the like best therapist that I've ever had in my life, hands down. Like she did so many amazing things for me. But it took me having to know like this is what I need. And I feel like that's really hard for some people is they don't know what they need yet, or they haven't done enough research or looking into therapy to really understand like this is what I'm going to need from it.
Right. Yeah. I remember like we were talking about something and my therapist started to ask me about something in my past and I started to tell her the story. And midway through, I was like, that is not even true. And she was like, what? And I was like, that is not true. That is the version of that story I've been telling because the real version is ugly. And I was like, I forgot that I had been doing that. Like, and it was like a huge breakthrough moment for me. Like, I was like, I've never admitted this out loud to anyone. Like, and I was just like, and I'd almost forgot it had happened because that version that I'd been telling had been,
so it becomes your truth.
And I was just telling her and I just was like, started to cry and I was like, oh my God. And then I had to like go back to one of my friends that was there for it and be like, do you remember this? And she was like, yeah, that was a fucking terrible night. And I was like, and like I just started crying and she was crying and she was like, I'm sorry for like my role in that. And I was like, I was like, no, she's like, we were kids. I'm like, yeah, like we were kids. Like, I'm like, it was just, I'm like, I forgot like that even, like, I was like, I've been lying about that whole thing for so long that I almost forgot that it actually happened. And we had never talked about it. 30 years. She and I had never spoken about that night ever since that night.
It's crazy the way our memories work too. And like what things can trigger stuff and like things come up and it's like, how have I held that in my brain in this way for so long? Yeah. Like when we really think about like trauma and what that does to the brain, because trauma it rewires your brain. It rewires your body. Like when they really talk about trauma staying in your body, it does. Like it's crazy. But I'm like, the things that it does to your memory and the way it warps your memory to help your brain survive that stuff is wild.
Oh, yeah. And and it was such like when I finally like, we talked about it and like, you know, worked through it with my therapist and like, I really felt it like in my body. I felt it shift a whole bunch of things. Like I was like, I've been holding on to that like secret and to think that, you know, that somehow was going to make me a different person if people knew that about, you know what I mean? So it was about, I was raped when I was younger and it was about that. Like it was about my first time. And I had always just told this different story. And it was the guy like I wish it had been with, you know what I mean? Like he was the second dude I was ever with. And it was like a great loving night. So that was just, I just was like, this is the story of my virginity, you know, like the other one is never going to see the light of day. Yeah. And so, and then, you know, to have like, in the middle of that, not expecting it to come up. And then it just like, she asked me something about sex and we started talking about it. And I was just like, oh, you know, and then she was like, well, tell me about your first time. And I launched into the story and was just like, oh, that is not true. Yeah. Like, and it took me, and I was just like, started to kind of cry a little. And I was like, this is what happened. I told her the story and she was just like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I've never said that out loud.
And sometimes it's just even the act of like being able to tell it.
Right.
Like, it being able to like be out there and like not just be yours anymore for a minute of like somebody else has this knowledge and I don't have to carry it all myself anymore. Like there's something big in that too, I think.
Yeah. And I remember coming back into her after I seen my oldest, like one of my best friends, and being like, so I went to my best friend and I was like, who was like there that night and all of this? And she's like, and how did that feel? And I was like, we have never talked about it. I'm like, and we talked, like, we were both in tears and it was like really cathartic, I think, for both of us. I'm like, because I think she had a lot of guilt for like the fact that we had never talked about it, like since that night. Like, I'm like, I think it really like it healed a big part of our friendship.
That's so
because
cool.
I think that there was always this thing in there that neither one of us were really aware of.
Yeah.
But you don't go through that and like,
and just let
go. Yeah. And I was like, wow, like now, like, our relationship is even deeper. Like we've known each other for 40 something years. Like, and our relationship now is even better than it ever has been because they're like, she knows so much, you know what I mean? We know so much about each other. And then it was like, there was always this thing and now there's no thing.
Yeah. Like there's no elephant in the room anymore. There's nothing that's holding this tension.
Yeah.
And I do think that's something that is one positive side to trauma is those people that you do go through with it, go through it with, and like that you have those bonds with. It really does build a relationship that just lasts, that you have somebody that will always understand that piece of it. And I think that is something that at least is not that we want trauma to happen, but it's going to happen at some point. Like we all have some form of trauma in our lives, and like at least having those relationships and those bonds, like at least there's something there where you're not the only one carrying it and you're not the only one in that. And you have that relationship to build off of and continue with, which is really cool.
And I think it lends to like, that person knew you before and after, and like to them, you haven't changed. So like, even though you might feel different, like they don't, like she doesn't think of, she's never thought of me in a different way. Like she's never loved me any more or less because of those incidences, or like when I've hit bottom or whatever. Like she's always been there and been available to me if I wanted her help. You know what I mean? Like she's just always been the person in the wings, or, you know, like we are family at this point. And we don't always see each other. We don't always talk to each other, but we always know it's just a phone call away to get that help. And it's in a different way because she does know all of the things I've been through. So like when I call her and I'm like, I am struggling, and she can be like, this is nothing. Yeah. Like this should be a cakewalk for you. Yeah. And it's like a reminder of like, hey, listen, like I've seen you deal with way worse.
Like I've seen you at the bottom, or I've seen you with whatever it is, and it's like, this can be worse, and we're gonna get through it again. And like, and I always say we, because it's like whenever it comes down to that, like it's both of you at that point. Like they're there to support you, and I think those are just the coolest friendships and like relationships you have. Like the non-judgmental, just the truly, like that to me is like the true unconditional love at that point. Like you love me no matter who I am or what it is, and like this is just what this is gonna be, and you're gonna support me, and like that is so cool. Yeah,
and I always like kind of feel bad for the people that don't have it. And because I'm like, because it's like having that security. Yeah. It's having someone that you know that has known you for however long. And they don't have the judgments. They just have the like, and they'll call you out on your shit, and they'll, you know what I mean? They'll be there for you, but they'll also be like, yo, get your shit together. Like, what are you doing?
It's kind of like your mom relationship, right? But a little bit different because moms are a little judgmental. I'll give them that.
Yeah. A little.
Just a little bit. Like, I hope somebody slaps me if I'm starting to judge my kids. So.
Are you worried? Like, have you thought about what kind of mom you're going to be?
You know, I feel like I've thought about it, but then, like, when I get asked, I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I think... But like when I do like really sit and think about it, like I obviously, especially like coming from a therapist's point of view, like I want them to be very secure in their emotions. And so I want them to understand and like have space in our house of being like, your emotions are all welcome. Like, and I truly believe that like every emotion is welcome. Every emotion that we have is there for a reason, and it's telling us something. It's the behaviors that are connected to our emotions, the things that we really need to learn how to control and understand like what's realistic and what we can and can't do. And so for me, like, I really want to be that mom that helps with that emotional regulation, just especially knowing who I was as a kid, and like now looking back, seeing like, oh, I did these things because I was so anxious, or I was so depressed, or I was so this, and I didn't know how to like get those things out. And especially now as an adult, I'm very much so, I internalize everything because as a kid, I needed to be quiet and I couldn't do that stuff. I couldn't let this out and I couldn't let people see, and having this emotion made me weak and whatever it was. And like, those are just things like I never want my kids thinking. Like, I want them to know, like, every emotion you have is completely fine and you get to show them and you get to have that emotion. We get to have that conversation. But now how do we, like, when we're mad, we're not throwing chairs though, right? You know, like, how do we control our behavior of what our emotions are while still understanding and feeling and going through our emotions? And so, but I think what's hard with saying, like, I want to be that parent that does that is, like, I'm still learning that.
Right. Well, I was going to say, wait, can you teach all of us that first?
Yeah. I'm like, I still learn that. Like, and even right now, like, going through the pregnancy piece of things and, like, not being able to control my emotions that way, like, that really hit me in the face, being like, oh, crap, like, how am I about to teach this kid this stuff? Like, this is hard work. And it is, but I think it's also helping them understand, like, you're always going to have to work at this. Like, this is going to be part of life forever. But how do you want to treat other people? And like, how would you want them to treat you in these moments? And having that kind of like aspect of things. And I'm just really hoping to grow, I think, a lot of that empathy in them of like understanding, like, you can be kind to other people, but like, you also still need to take care of yourself. And like, how do we balance those things?
Right.
But, and then I'll try to be a fun mom too, you know, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm sure you will be, just because you and Leah both are kind of balanced, and, you know, he does read like a therapist.
He does.
Like, he does have that very much. Like, whenever he's like, so, Siobhan, well, he calls me Miss Siobhan still, which I keep trying to break him of because it makes me feel super old.
I'm still Miss Kerwin in his phone, don't worry.
I love it. But he'll be like, well, Miss Siobhan, what's going on? And I'm like, he's really asking.
Yeah.
Like,
no, he wants to know.
Yeah.
He really wants to know. And when he listens, like, he's listening. Like, he's not trying to do other, like, he doesn't have another agenda to it. And like, he really like cares about everything, and which is amazing. And like, it's things that I look at him sometimes, I'm like, oh, can you stop being so good at that? Because like, I'm trying to be good at it and you're like taking over. But he's very good at that stuff. And so like, I think especially he will do a very good job of that. And he's also like the fun, silly one out of the two of us. Like, he'll do a very good job in like those areas of things. So I'm like, I think our kids will be very well rounded in a lot of stuff, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. And even though you're struggling with a pregnancy, I liked earlier when you were like, you know, I'll do it again.
Oh yeah.
And because that was going to be one of my questions, because I have had friends that have had one baby and they're like, I can't go through that again. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
I won't go through it.
See, and like,
and then I have friends that like hated being pregnant, and then they have their kid and they're like, oh, being pregnant wasn't terrible. And I'm like, you did nothing but complain for the last 7 months.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, I can't wait to do it again. And I'm like, you are a crazy person.
Yeah. That'll be me. Yeah, no, we definitely want 2 kids. And I can't imagine, like, as much as I now do understand like surrogacy and like that kind of stuff, I can't imagine handing off that control to somebody else.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I am a control freak, like, through and through. I'm like, I need the control. And the other piece is like, again, like, I've always wanted this. And so for me, I'm like, I would give up anything for my kids. It just is what it is. And like, as much as it sucks to be a kid, I'm like, I know I would do it again. And so Lee is crazy. He thinks we're going to try to get pregnant when Lily's a year old. And I said, absolutely not. I said, in no world. I need some time to like get my body back. But,
or I guess it's all obviously your whole decision, but yeah, I don't know how I would do that. Like, might as well like get it all over with in like
and that's
3 years
yeah, that's the thought process. And like, I said no later than when she's 2, we'll start trying. Like, I was like, I want it within that like kind of 2-year time frame.
Yeah.
But the other piece is like, we're planning a wedding for next year.
Yeah.
So I'm also like, I need to like pop this baby out and like get wedding ready. And then we can like figure out if we're going to have another kid after, or like when we're trying to do that. Because we'll have another one. I just don't know when that's going to happen yet.
Do you think you'll get a little like crazy to get your body back to what it was before? Like, are you already thinking like that? Like,
I am, and it worries me. It's funny because I had therapy today, and I literally had told my therapist this. I was like, just to put on the back burner for our like sessions, but I was like, we need to start coming up with a plan for postpartum, because I was talking about like first trimester and everything, and I was like, that was scary, and I was like, and I don't want to go into postpartum knowing what my hormones did during that time without a plan. And so like, I was like, postpartum plan is like number 1, but number 2, because I do struggle so hard with just body image. And like, I always have, like, it's just always been a thing. When I was in high school, I definitely dabbled in like an anorexia kind of phase for a while, where it was very much of like not eating more than 500 calories a day, like really taking those down, like working out, like doing those crazy things that like I think a lot of women do in secret, and like we just don't talk about these things. But I'm worried about like how my brain's gonna go once we get to that point of I need to be ready for this, and like we have a date and this is how this is going, like because we're looking at November and that's only gonna give me about 7 months. And so I'm like, but then in the same breath, I'm like, I'm gonna be breastfeeding, I'm gonna still be taking care of a child, and so I can't necessarily go crazy and like starve myself or like do these crazy things. And so I'm really trying to figure out how to plan for it in a way that's going to allow me to do it healthy, but also get me to like where my goals are going to be. So, and luckily, like Lee and I are very healthy with like working out and eating and like what we do. And thank God he cooks, because I would be eating McDonald's every day. But, so I think it'll be doable. And like, I do think he's a great support system in that area of stuff for me, and like kind of knows like that I do struggle with that. So he kind of keeps an eye on that stuff for a little bit more for me. But it is going to be an interesting time of what that's going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll joke all the time that intermittent fasting used to be an eating disorder.
Oh,
like,
it does.
I'm like, oh, when I was in high school, it's an eating disorder, but now it's a lifestyle. Like,
which is funny because Lee does that.
Yeah, I do it. Like, and then like, and I haven't recently. I've been like trying to change my diet. So I'm like, oh, I still have weird food stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I really do, and I don't want to.
No, but it's part of it. We've been trained as women to look at our bodies and be like, okay, how do I fix this? How do I fix that?
Yeah,
and it's food's fault. And it's hard.
Yeah, like I work out a lot, and like, you know, it's still not like, it's not sloughing off. And now like so many of my friends are on the injections or the Ozempics, and like one of the women I work with the other day, I haven't seen her in a while, and she was like, you look great. She's like, oh, are you on the Ozempics? And I was like, no, it's all hard work, and I'm fucking pissed about it. Like fuck, like
acknowledge the fact that I did this.
Yeah,
I'm like, and also Ozempic scares me. I'm not gonna lie. Like and it's more so just like what the long-term effects of that's gonna be.
Right.
But I'm like that with a lot of things. I'm like, I don't know what to put in my body because I'm like, what does this do later? But I'm like, hard work. Just do the hard work, guys.
Yeah, but it takes so long.
It does. It does. And again, getting older and being women, hormones changing and everything else, like our bodies don't react the same way. Like Lee and I both love sweets. We will have nights where we just get fat all night long and we're like going at it and, you know, whatever. And we'll both have to like go hit the gym the next week because we both gained weight from like having our little sweet, like Thanksgiving week was rough. Lee loses it in like 2-3 days. And I'm like, mine stays on for 6 weeks. Like, how does this work?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it sucks. Like, and yeah, that's super frustrating when especially when you live with a dude and you both decide to lose some weight together and like they just are like,
in like 5
they
seconds.
think about it and it's gone, and you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm going back to the gym, or like, oh, I'm going to yoga now, and now I'm going to walk, and now I'm going to drink this water, you know, and you're like, I'm doing all of this, and you just like did one sit up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, it's super frustrating, and it's like almost demotivating.
It's like, well, why am I doing this? Like, it's not working. I'm not getting where I want to be. But then I also think the other side of it is like, we hold ourselves to such high standards that we never get to where we think we want to be.
Oh, yeah.
Because we keep moving the bar, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah, I was just looking at a picture of me when I first moved to California, and I was like trying to figure out, I'm like, I look so much skinnier in that photo than I do right now, and I know I weigh less now. But like my brain was trying to like, my brain is sometimes crazy, and I'm like, I can't be skinnier in that photo. Because those jeans that I have on in those photos are twice the size of the jeans I have now. Well, like, but my brain is like, no, but look at that stomach, so much flat. And like, I'm like,
you're
what?
Like, but that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. I'm like,
it doesn't
and
make
it's
sense.
like, I can't be seeing what I'm seeing. Like, it can't be the right thing.
Yeah. It's true. It is so true. Like with body dysmorphia, especially, like we do not see ourselves the way anybody else sees us.
Yeah.
And like you could have, I think it was you could have 3 different pictures of yourself, and like one of like how you actually look, and then one where you look like beautiful, skinny, all these things, and then one where you look bigger and like not as great. And if you put all 3 pictures next to each other, right, like us as women, we're gonna pick the one that we don't look as great at. Like that is just like known. Like we will pick the one that like is bigger, whatever else. Our friends and family, they pick the one that's the smallest. And it's really interesting the way that like our brains just like change this stuff in our heads, because it's like that's not what we're seeing. Like it isn't what is actually happening, but our brains just flip these things in our heads, and they're like, and that's it. Like that's what you look like. And I'm like, that does not work.
Yeah. And it's hard to convince yourself that your brain is wrong.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's like, I try to do that all the time, like with my anxiety in general, of being like, no, this is not right. Like this thought is not correct. And this is why, but I have to have so many facts to back up why that one thought is not correct to get my brain to believe it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is crazy. Like this is my own brain. This should be able to like have more control over it.
Yeah, you're like, I should be able to control, alt, delete that. Like, I know it doesn't work. I know it's not true. But yeah, it keeps living there. And like, I call them the gremlins in my brain. I'm like, sometimes a gremlin just takes over, like, and I can't do something. Or like, it is just telling me like I'm a piece of shit when I'm like, I know I'm not. Like, I didn't do anything. But like, all of a sudden, I'm like in this like mood or thinking like just terrible thought. Like, I'll say to Sandy sometimes, like she'll look at me and she'll be like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just hurting my own feelings. Yeah. Like I'm just, my brain is on this fucking path. Like, and I'll be like, I got to move, or I'll be like, let's go have a smoke, or let's like do something. Like, you want to go walk down the store with me? Like, I was like, I just need to move because I can't get like this hurtful thought out of my head.
Yeah. What's crazy too is because I think like moving and getting out of whatever space you're in is like one of the best things you can do, right? When you're like getting down or like thoughts, whatever it is that's going on in your head. But what's crazy is that when you really get into those episodes, you can't. Like, there's no, like, there's nothing that pulls you from whatever's going on, or like you don't have the motivation to go on a walk, or you don't have that. And it's wild, and it's something that like I've really started to explore recently, just because having the hormones the way they were, and then like coming out of it and now realizing some of it, I'm like, what could I have done in those moments to force myself into something else? Yeah. But it's hard to know, because when you're in it, you're so deep in that, and it's just so hard to break through. Yeah.
Like I've dealt with depression. I've talked about it openly. Like I at one point like checked myself into a place because I'm like, I need extra help. Like I can't. I'm just like, I don't want to exist anymore. Like I wasn't suicidal, but I was like, I just don't want to be
a person. Yeah. Like I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. And I was like, I feel like a burden on everybody, but I feel like I don't matter to anyone, and I don't feel anything. And it was like the feeling nothing that scared me.
Yes.
Like I didn't even feel sad anymore. I just felt empty. And I was like, this is not right. Like, and when I first started to like kind of get healthy again, I would go for a walk. And like, if that was the only thing I did all day, like if that was the only time I left my bed, I went for one walk, like, and I started going around the small block, and I was like, okay, every day I'm going to go around the small block. Like, didn't matter. Like, and I wouldn't let a day go by. Like sometimes I wouldn't walk until 11 p.m. because it took me all day to get up. The energy to get out of bed to go for a walk. And my parents, especially when I was staying with my parents after I had left my ex-husband, my mom would be like, you're going to go out now? And I'm like, yeah, I need to walk. Like, I haven't walked today and I need to do it. Like, and it was like keeping that one little promise to myself. But it was like some days to try to get the motivation to just do that was too much. Yeah. But then it got a little easier, and I could go around the bigger block. And then I would be like, okay, so now from now on, every day when I do this walk, I'm going around the big block. And then it was like I just kept stretching it out and stretching it out. Yeah. And eventually it was like, okay, like I went for a walk and now I'm going to go do this. Or I went for my walks and now I can, and it would let me do something else. And it was like, but I was trying to explain to one of my friends who was going, she's like, I just can't get out of bed. Like I haven't, like she's like, I am so fucking down and in depression. And I'm like, you just have to force it. Like, I'm like, there's no secret. Yeah. I'm like, you just have to force yourself. Yeah. And like, it has to be a non-negotiable. I'm going to do this. And I'm like, and start small. Like start with, you're going to take a shower every day. Yes. I'm like, and just get up, take your shower. And as long as you do that, I'm like, and then slowly, like after you get out of the shower, you'll be like, I'm going to do laundry, or I'm going to I'm like, just something small that like you can see though. Like,
yeah. Something that shows you that you're making progress.
Yeah. I'm like do the dishes in your sink. Like decide that after you eat, within 2 hours of eating, you're going to do all the dishes. Like not in the dishwasher. You're going to physically wash them and like,
yeah. That's because it needs to be something physical. Like it has to be something that you are like making your body move to do. It can't just be like a brain thing.
Yeah. Because I can convince my brain can like, I can rationalize everything.
Same here.
Like I can rationalize staying in bed all day and being okay with it. Like I need to actually move in order to get my brain like out of that pattern.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, because it could even be as small as like, you're going to color a picture today and that's what it is. But it at least pulls you from that thought process and gives your hands something to do. It's mindless. It's something that it's an easy thing that can be there for you. But then you have a finished product and you're done. And like, and that at least gives you a sense of accomplishment. And like, that's a big one with depression is like having those accomplishments or having something to show like, okay, I did something. Like even just like the getting out of bed and making my bed, I did something.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, because even now, sometimes, like, I have this problem, like, I don't feel like I've done enough to earn rest now. Like, now I have almost the opposite problem. Like, people are like, well, what, you're doing too much. And I'm like, I barely did anything. And I'll be like, you know, and then I have to, like, think about all the things I've done in that day. And then, like, no, okay, I did a lot of things today. And it's okay for me to sit down and relax. Like, I'm not going to go into couch lock for the next 6 months. Or I'm not going to, like, to have a rest day where I do nothing sometimes is really hard for me because it's like I feel like I'm going to slip back into not getting off the couch.
Yes.
Where I'm like, I have data. I have 5 years of data that says I'm not going to do that.
But it's so scary when you've been there and like knowing what that looks like and what that can be. It is so scary when you're in a place of being like, this is very similar.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to be there. Because I had that kind of like moving out here and not working the same way, especially finishing school and like just not being able to like work the same way that I'm used to with being busy all the time and everything else and being home as much as I was, that I was kind of having that same thing where I was like, this is where I get depressed. Like being home and not having something and like doing these things, like this is how I get depressed. And it was a lot of that, like, how do I make a routine? How do I make a routine for myself? But I'm a lot like you where it's like, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. And so like resting and sitting and just being there and like on my own is very weird and it's uncomfortable. And it's, even though it should be so normal, but I'm like, this is not what I should be doing. Yeah,
like even sometimes when I'm in a social situation that I want to be in, there's a part of me that's like vibrating to get out of that situation and go do this something else. And I'm like, okay, wait, something's causing me massive anxiety because now like my anxiety shows up different. And like that's the mind fuck of anxiety too, is that it changes the way like your symptoms change.
Even depression. Yeah.
Yes.
Like it changes as you get older and like change. Like I'm like, can we have just one thing that's stagnant? Like one thing that stays the same would be nice.
Yeah. Like the only thing that's consistent is inconsistencies. Like change is the only thing that's inevitable. You know, like all those old kind of cliches, but they're cliches because because I will find myself going from one event to another and like overscheduling myself. So that I have to be like, I'm here, but only for like 30 minutes because then I have to go do this and then I have to go do that. And I'm like, oh, I am running from something.
Yes.
But I am masking it with I'm so busy. And I have to go support everyone because without me.
And it gives you like, a sense of pride and accomplishment and all of these things.
And like self-importance.
Yes. And it's like, and it's there. Like, yes, you're getting that stuff and you're meeting those needs, but what are you letting go of in order to meet those needs? And what are you not dealing with to meet that need? Even though that need probably isn't as important as the one that you're like trying to get away from.
Oh yeah. It's such like a mind fuck. And it's like stuff you always have to be aware of. And it's like being a person is so much fucking work all the time.
It is exhausting.
Like,
I'm like, God, I'm like, can we not just have like a break, like a day of like, just like, none of this matters. It doesn't matter.
Right. And in kind of the grand scheme of it, nothing actually does matter.
No, truthfully.
Which is like also like slightly freeing and depressing at the same time. Because you're like, I'm busting my ass in for what?
Yeah.
Like in 5 years, you know, is this going to matter? Like maybe not. Like, I have no idea.
No, I was watching a video the other day. It was about ADHD because I really think I'm ADHD and I think that has caused a lot of my anxiety and stuff like that. But I was watching a video about ADHD.
We should get tested together.
Honestly, we should because I'm like, I am more than positive and women do not get diagnosed as often as they should. So I'm like, it is what it is. And a lot of anxiety symptoms show up in ADHD. So it makes sense. But I was watching this and it was talking about how like sometimes with ADHD, like we look at a picture of something and like we get so locked into like one detail that the rest of it doesn't seem important anymore. And we kind of do that with our lives, where like we get really locked into one detail and nothing else seems important. But then we're sitting there and we're like, well, wait, like what's the point of life then? So then we like back all the way out and then we're like, well, nothing matters. So like nothing matters at all. And so we go from like one extreme to being like, this one thing matters more than anything to, well, nothing matters.
Right.
Like, what do we do with that? Like, we don't have like an in-between for it. It's so interesting.
Yeah. I have that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Same. I'm also
not officially diagnosed, but
same here. I've just been doing a lot of reading on it lately, and I'm like, oh, that is exactly what I do. Or like, I have really bad procrastination, like anxiety, essentially. Like, I procrastinate everything up until like 2 hours before it's due or whatever it is. But I have to have a deadline. I have to have like a fire under my ass to get me going. And that's the only way it works. And I'm like, but I didn't realize that was an ADHD symptom.
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't either. And I've always been like that.
Same here.
Since high school, since before high school.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
I will
since
put
like
off,
elementary school. I'm like only worked off deadlines.
Oh, yeah. Like I wrote in my high school to graduate, you had to write 2 25-page papers in English and history. And then they had to like relate somehow. And I wrote mine on Hawthorne and the Salem witch trials. And I didn't read any books. I like skimmed some of them and I went to Salem and did some research and I wrote my papers the night before they were due.
That's exactly how it was.
And like got a B+ on them. And like that was also the worst part is like I was a terrible student.
Same here.
But I would like skate through on it and I would be and I hated to study because I have dyslexia. And I have terrible dyslexia. And I learned about it in the 3rd grade, but then they were just like, yeah, there you go.
They didn't do anything.
And I was like, well, they gave me like a calculator kind of thing for that helped with spelling.
Okay.
But you have to know how to spell the word
processor,
to yeah. And it was just like, but I was just like, and they gave me more time on tests, but I'm like, that doesn't help me see things different.
No, see, because I worked with dyslexia when I was teaching. It was actually like one of the areas that I like specialized in. Because now they do programs. Like I would pull my kids and we had a set program where they were learning how to read and like what to do. And we were like, what tricks to use. And like some kids had color overlays because like color overlays, I don't know if you've ever used that. So like I've never done, and I've never then like now as an adult, I mean, I haven't been in college forever, but like, I never like I just struggled. Like, and I had terrible test anxiety because of it, because you get nervous. And then, so like when I was going through some of my like college schools and stuff, like my AP class, like I went to my professor and I was like, I'm never going to spell anything right. Like these letters are just fucked. Like, and so I would go, because I was just thinking about this the other day, like I would go in and we would do my test orally most of the time. Yeah.
Because he'd be like, you know this stuff. Like because at one point, like we in class discussions and stuff, I'd be great. I knew stuff. And then they'd take a test and I'd fucking bomb it.
And that's a normal like accommodation now. Like most kids get the oral admin of everything's read to them.
But I was like, it was only if the professor was open to it that they would help me with that. You know what I mean? Crazy. So other times it was just like, fuck it, I'm going to be a C student. And then it was like, I didn't really, because I had such a struggle time. It was like, no matter how hard I worked, it wasn't changing anything. So I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to work hard. Like, I'll just skate by. Like, because this is stupid. Like, you all know that I have a problem, but nobody wants to help me with my problem. Because back then they also didn't know that much about it.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, your eyes, your brain and your eyes don't see the same thing. But we don't know how to fix it. Yeah. So like that was it. And it was just like, okay, so they were like, work harder. And I'd be like, how do I work harder when you're telling me my brain sees something else? Like,
like what do I do with that? Oh my God. It's crazy. Like because they've made a lot of advancements, right? Like I was saying, like color overlays, but it's different for every kid. And that's the thing that like they have a hard time figuring out. And that's what a lot of my time was with them, was like figuring out what worked for each kid. Because like I literally had a kid where like he would be looking at the page and he would like turn his head to the side really fast. And he was like, the words are falling off the page. And that was his dyslexia. The words would literally fall off the page for him. But if you put a blue colored overlay on his paper, he could read it. Totally fine.
That is wild to me.
Whereas like I had another kid where he needed pink. Like it like the colors just changed. So there's something in our eyes. And I always said if I ever went and did a PhD in education, it would be on dyslexia, because there's something going on between that eye and brain connection. But it has to be more in our eyes and what we're taking in, especially with those color overlays happening. I'm like, there has to be something else there that's going on to like help make this work.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what I realized too, that I was trying to figure out, because like I'm numbers, like if you tell me numbers, sometimes my brain will reverse them in my head, but I'll know that my brain has done it. But like now what I realize that I do is pattern recognition. I don't actually read.
Yeah.
I look at like, I take it in as an image. So I'm not like that, like on credit card receipts when I'm matching them, I'm not like JKF. Like I look for it's like almost like hieroglyphic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, sorry. And that sometimes my brain can't get words out because it's thinking about the spelling of them. It's like a weird, like now, like I've, over the years have like
because you
figured
have coping
out.
mechanisms now. Yeah.
And I was like, I do pattern recognition. I do more pattern recognition than reading.
Well, and I also think though that like a lot of us adults don't realize how much reading really just is pattern recognition at this point.
Right.
Like we aren't sitting there sounding out words. A lot of the times, and it's kids do it all the time too, where they see the first couple letters of a word and they plug that word in or whatever it is.
Oh, it's like you're T9 yourself.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, we're not fully reading these words. We are going through and like it's a muscle memory at this point. Like, we've done it so many times over. We know what these words look like or what it's going to be. And like also understanding context, right? And like kind of having that like, oh, well, I kind of know what's coming because I know the context of like what this is in. But we don't really challenge ourselves to fully read anymore. Like once we've learned it, it's really just patterned. Like we know what words are supposed to look like at that point.
Right.
It's so interesting.
That is so interesting. I really want to try the colorly thing.
Yeah.
Now when I go to read.
Yeah. See if anything works. I'm trying to think because I used to have a bunch of them. So I'm like, and I still have some of my school boxes. I'm like, I'll try to look and see if I have any left.
Yeah.
See if any of those help.
What other tricks do you have up your sleeve for?
Oh God, it's been a while. I haven't done the dyslexia for a while. I'll have to go back in all my school boxes.
Maybe we'll have you come back and give us a dyslexia 101.
Yeah, I'm like, because we used to do. There's a lot of like symbols in it too. Like we would track a lot with their reading, and so they would have to learn like different symbols while they were reading, and they'd see different letters that they would put this symbol on top of the A to know like this is the sound that we're making, or like grouping certain words together and like things like that. We would do a lot of that stuff, but that was part of helping them come up with their coping mechanisms too, of like really starting to learn like what these letters are saying, the phonics and like the transitions and like that kind of stuff of it. And so once they would get into that routine of doing it like by hand, their brains would start getting used to like they would do it automatically rather than
have to think about it.
Yeah. But I'm like, I need to go back and tell my dyslexia things. I'm like, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. So I learned that some of my stuff is from the dyslexia, but some of it is from the ADHD that I have, or, like that, like, oh yeah. Like when I look at all the symptoms, and then one of our friends, she was telling us because she had her kids tested, and like, then she realized that she was, and like, I was like, I think I am. And she was just like, oh yeah, you are. And I was like, wow, thanks for that. And I was like, thanks mom. Yeah. Like, and she was like, no, she's like, I know. Cause her whole family had gone through it, and she's like a super brilliant doctor herself, and so she was just like, oh yeah, no, like you check all the boxes. And I was like, yeah, I know.
The problem is that women, and like I'm actually reading like this book about it, it's like ADHD for badass women or something like that, but like it's literally just focused on women and ADHD. But the problem is that they only focus on the hyperactive portion of ADHD. They don't focus in on like what's going on in our brains necessarily.
Right.
So males always are getting diagnosed because males can't sit in their seats when they're at school, and they can't do this, they can't do that. Whereas females, we internalize it, and like we're daydreaming and we're off in space and we're doing whatever, but we're getting stuff done, so they don't worry about it.
Right.
And so we don't get diagnosed. And I'm like, that is ridiculous. Because I'm like, I struggled and I had to learn all these coping mechanisms to help myself get through school. And luckily I was really good at school, and like, but I knew the system. I knew how to play the system. It wasn't necessarily that I was so smart and I knew these things. It was just, I know how to play the system. I know how to play the game that you want me to play.
Yeah.
But with my ADHD, like the procrastinating, and like, I would daydream all through class.
Oh yeah.
Every class, all day long. I remember my 4th grade teacher, her sons were actually best friends with my brothers. Like we were really close with her, but she would tell my mom all the time, she was like, I don't understand how Carissa does it. Cause she was like, I can see her sit in the back of that class, and her brain, she's out the window. She's like daydreaming. She was like, I would call on her and she knows the answer to the question. And she's like, I don't know what's going on. But I was like, I was so ADHD and nobody noticed it.
Right.
Or like knew what to do with it, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, because when I go back and think about it, like I know, like at one point I was just like, yeah, nothing matters because life is stupid and like we're all just gonna die anyways.
Yep.
Like in probably 8th grade, and then I was like, I also like can't read this because my brain just doesn't work, and like I just don't care, like, and I don't want to learn about religion, like, like I was just like, yeah, I'm kind of out of this whole thing, like, and I could not wait to get out of high school. Because I was like, at least then I'll like get a job and then I'll figure out what I want to do. And then my parents were like, no, you have to go to college. And I was like, yeah. And then I dropped out, all of that. But now, like, when I go back and look at my data of it all, I'm like, oh, it's also because like I couldn't sit, like I had no skills for it. And like, I didn't know how to get the help for it. And then there wasn't really a lot of help for it. And
it goes back to like what we were saying with like teaching kids to emotionally regulate. It's also teaching kids how to learn and how to do these things and how to do all of that. And modeling for them what that should look like, and having the right resources, having the right diagnosis, having like just all of these things. But then they wonder why all these kids drop out of school or don't want to do this stuff or don't want to work hard. And it's because we're not helping them the way they need help.
Yeah.
So.
Like someone was like, oh, you would be a great therapist. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that schooling. Like, and that was really like, I was like, I'm not fair. Like, and when I remember as a kid being like, oh, I'm going to be an art therapist and not even knowing like what that was. And someone in my family being like, that's a lot of schooling. I don't know if you'll do that. And it was like, then it was like kind of one of those things that was in my brain about like, oh, well, they don't even think I should attempt it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I'm just talking about like, I'm going to heal the world with my art. Like, I wasn't really thinking about school at that point. Like, and I didn't know that an art therapist was a job. Like, there was all these things around it, but I was just like, oh, yeah, like I probably won't then.
No, it was the same way with like me wanting to be a doctor. My mom would do it all the time. She was like, do you know how long they have to be in school for? And she was like, and you want a family, like what are you gonna do then? And it's like, well, crap, now I don't want to do any of it. Like, God.
Yeah, it's like the shit that you say, and it goes back to what we were originally starting to talk about. It was like the shit that happens when you're a kid that you don't even realize has such weight to it.
Yes.
Like, I think that's why sometimes you are super comfortable around kids, and I used to be. And now, because I'm kind of so removed from them and have been for so long now, that I think I get a little weird around them because I'm so worried that I'm going to say something that's going to alter their whole world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think I'm that important, but I also know, like, sometimes it doesn't matter who you are. Like, there's something that just lands different.
It is, like, because I get that fear, too. Like, whenever I think about it too hard, I'm like, crap. Like, we're just big influences on kids. Like, adults in general, like, we have so many influences on these kids, regardless of how much time we spend with them or, like, in what capacity or whatever it is. So many influences. But then my other thought to that is like, or the opposite side of it is sitting there and being like, well, they do have so many influences. Right. So like, what way do I get to influence you now in this moment that I can control rather than all of the outside forces that like I have zero control over? And so, but I get like the nerve-wracking part of that too, of being like, okay, I can control this, but again, I can control it. So what do I do now? Like, how do I make this see? And I think for me, a lot of it has been like that, like, what did I need as a kid at that point? Like, what was the adult that I needed? And trying to act in that way. And like, it's never perfect. I never do it the right way either. And like, I probably never will. I tell every adult client that I have that has kids, I'm like, every kid is going to get trauma from you. Like you're going to give your kids trauma. It is what it is. Yeah. Like, we're all just going to move past it. They're all going to sit in the therapist chair at some point and be like, and my mom caused me trauma. This is what it is. Yeah. But I'm like, how do you minimize that as much as you can? And like, what does that look like for you? And like, what is it that you needed that you can at least give them? Yeah. And then that way they can continue that as they go. But it's just hard. It's scary.
It is. Oh. Well, girl, I could talk to you all day, but I know I have to start to wrap this up and give you back to your growing baby. And I'm sure you have to pee.
Just 24/7. It's okay.
But I love talking to you. I learned so much today.
Good. Thanks.
I can't wait to use a color filter because I my eyes get tired reading. Like I listen to a lot of books. Yep. I love an audible book, but I do try to like still read a physical book once in a while because I think it's a good brain exercise. I think it's good just
absolutely
and entertaining. Yeah. But I get so tired that I don't read, like I can't read a lot in one sitting.
Yeah. And I could see that too being like also like because your eyes are still a muscle, right? And so like not using that muscle as often to like fully read, especially print can be smaller. Like eyes get tired. So it makes sense too. And then it's doing double work trying to figure out where the words are going and what it's saying and how to do that. So it makes sense. But I'll definitely look and see if I have color filters for you.
All right. And then we'll come back and let's talk more, because we have, let's save that for next time.
Okay.
We'll have you come back. Thank you so much, Carissa.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And then I will link to, if anybody's in Alameda and looking for a therapist and found Carissa, like someone that you want to talk to like I do, we'll link to how, reach out and I will connect you guys.
Yes, do.
And then we'll probably have you come back.
Absolutely. I'm all about it.
All right. Thank you all for listening, and make sure you go find your joy today. We love you.